That's a nice dog you got there.
Yeah, it's my little dog Fifi. Yeah, he's a cutie.
Fifi, huh?
Yeah, he's a cute little little mutt dog.
Got a leash on that thing, huh?
Yeah, so he doesn't, he's a dog. There's laws.
I know what a dog is.
You've got some very intense eyes.
What's that supposed to mean?
Just an observation.
So, you like Chicago?
It's a pretty nice city. I gotta go meet with some people.
Cool. I'm a murderer.
Yeah, kinda was getting that vibe there. Come on, Fifi.
This podcast is about why horror scares us. What deep, dark, secret, scary cinema shines a light on. The discussions are frank and involve conversations about abuse, trauma, and mental health. There are also spoilers, so keep that in mind too. Now, sharpen your machetes and straight razors, because this is Cutting Deep into Horror.
Welcome back to Cutting Deep into Horror. I am, of course, your host, Enrique Couto, here with my co-host, Rachel Rodolfi. Rachel, how are you?
I'm doing pretty all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You survived the storm today?
Barely. I was, it was kind of intense out in the workshop.
It was getting brutal, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in the cigar lounge, so I was just watching the rain. Yeah. Apparently some trees fell down out by the county line road.
Oh, yeah, that's the place for it to happen.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I was just staring at the one tree in our backyard like, please don't let this be the day.
Oh, gosh, don't talk about that tree. Give me anxiety. But, so last time we were here, we talked about Confessions of a Serial Killer, one of my favorite kind of underappreciated hidden gems of a very dark, creepy, true crime horror story. And it brought about the realization that you had never seen the more famous serial killer horror film based on a true story, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which oddly enough, they were produced basically at the same time.
Yeah.
They were both made in around 84, 85 area, and both took quite a while to come out. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer was made in 1986, or at least completed in 86. And it wasn't really, I don't believe it was heavily released until 1990.
Damn.
So it screened in 86 and then sat until January 5th, 1990.
Damn.
Because now, okay. So first of all, if you've never seen Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, it's a rough watch, but it's a really brilliant movie.
Oh, yeah.
A very fascinating character study and considered one of the top tier of, kind of gross, nasty horror, serial killer, true crime movies. But when it was made, I almost lost my train of thought, but then I remembered it. My point was, they tried to claim that it was because the film was too violent, too brutal, too graphic, too fast, too furious to come out. But in reality, a lot of it was the producers were terrified of lawsuits because they used the real names in the film.
Yeah.
The three leads, Henry, Otis, although it was Otis in real life, Otis and Becky, those were all their real names. Which is extra funny because, as we talked about last time on Confessions is far more accurate to the story as they understood it at the time of Henry Lee Lucas, the serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
Far more accurate, and they changed all of the names. And then you get Henry, which is barely resemblant to Henry Lee Lucas, and they use the actual names. So, so there were some fears that there could be legal repercussions. But they might have even used some names of victims. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so, we end up with Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. If you've never seen the film before, it is streaming right now, free with ads on Tubi, Pluto TV, and the Roku channel. So, check it out if you have the stomach for the harsher movies. We've definitely done 2 of the harsher ones back to back, and they're about the same subject matter, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, I think Henry's a little softer.
It is. I have to agree.
Than Confessions. Yeah. Well, and they're a little bit kinder to the Henry character in a way. Although that is in a way also to pull the rug on you some, that they kind of establish this idea that Henry has like a degree of morality, a degree of justice, I guess morality is really the only word for it.
Or any kind of scruples.
Yeah. And in Confessions, he just does not even vaguely.
Yeah, well, in Confessions, he literally says, like, I don't know, killing for me is like breathing is for you. So
yeah, just do it all the time. Yeah, just all the time, everywhere, all the time. So, but Henry, for all the bullying I can do to the film because of its heavy artistic license with Henry Lee Lucas, it's a phenomenal movie. It's very well thought out. It's very well directed, well performed. The actors are all great in it. It captures a very perfect Chicago sleaze mentality. Like, it really gets that to a T.
Yeah.
And it's a classic. Confessions of a Serial Killer kind of came out and it was kind of lost to time for quite a while, but Henry has been notorious for just about as long as it's existed. And in many ways, Henry was one of those rites of passage movies. You have to watch Henry, you have to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you have to watch Cannibal Holocaust, you have to watch, whatever the gross out movie is. So it's definitely lived on, and it launched several big careers, including the director John McNaughton, who went on to direct a bunch of movies, but one of the most famous was Wild Things from 1998, with Neve Campbell and Matt Dillon and what was the other Denise Richards. And Wild Things was a massive movie. I mean, it was a cultural phenomenon when it came out, mainly because everybody was waiting to see the threesome scene. That's what Wild Things was kind of about in that way. But John McNaughton's made a lot of really interesting movies, but that one is probably, beyond Henry, one of his most interesting. And he's a very talented director. But then Michael Rooker came out of this film. He's the star of the film, playing Henry. And Michael Rooker has had a truly incredible career, appearing in movies like Mississippi Burning, Days of Thunder, JFK, Cliffhanger, Tombstone, Mallrats, The Bone Collector. And he ended up becoming really good buddies with James Gunn and appeared in Super, and then later on in both the Peacemaker series and as a major role in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. So he's had an incredible career, just tons and tons of work. And another guy that some people may not know his name off the top of their heads, but a guy who he became pretty well known, especially in genre spaces as a character actor, is Tom Tulls, who plays Otis. And he has been in so many movies. He played Cooper in Night of the Living Dead 1990, the remake.
Oh,
you wouldn't even recognize him. He looks completely different.
Yeah.
He was in Blood In, Blood Out. He was in The Rock. He was on episodes of NYPD Blue. He was in Dr. Dolittle. He was in The Devil's Rejects. He was in episodes of Miami Vice. He was in an episode of Malcolm in the Middle. I mean, he just had quite the career, just appearing in tons and tons of films. And often he would appear in more genre movies and TV shows. I mean, I just pulled up his TV listings. It's nuts. I mean, he was in an episode of Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Seinfeld the same year, LA Law, let's see, Third Rock from the Sun. Like, you see what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Star Trek Voyager.
Damn. I mean, he just gets tons of work, huh?
He did. Unfortunately, we lost him in 2015.
Oh.
But he was at Cinema Wasteland once or twice. And,
oh, really?
He was a very, very nice guy. So anyway, their careers launched from this film, and they all had pretty substantial Hollywood careers. So I think that alone is really interesting for a little small-ish movie based out of Chicago. They had about $100,000 to work with, financed by MPI Home Video, who at the time were dabbling in creating things. And to this day, they still own Henry. And it's one of their big ownerships is Henry. And they bought the rights to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know how long ago, but they're still putting out editions of it. So that's my rundown of Henry. And the first time I saw Henry, I believe I rented it at Hollywood Video, much like I rented Confessions of a Serial Killer from Hollywood Video. And I do remember being shocked by it, which is interesting because as an adult watching it, the pace is very slow and the violence is mostly off screen to an extent.
Yeah.
But it is hefty. The violence we get is memorable and shocking and gruesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, like, if you watched it back to back with Confessions, it feels a little tame.
It does, though.
A little.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Not by like leaps and bounds, but yeah.
But what makes the movie work is Michael Rooker's intensity. Because in Confessions, and you mentioned this right away, like in Confessions, the Henry character, Daniel Ray Hawkins, he comes off as a creep and a kind of a weirdo, but, you know, he makes you feel, ugh.
Yeah.
But Henry in Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, Rooker's character comes off, he's not quite charming. He's not quite that far, but he's just really intense.
Mm-hmm.
So he's more off-putting, but not necessarily like scary in that way.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. I don't know.
No, it makes sense to me. And to me, it with Confessions, there was much more like a feeling of like, if I were to meet this character on the street, I would just like cross to the other side and get away as far as possible. But the thing that makes Henry so creepy in Portrait is that because he was so much more calculating, you would give him the time of day.
Yeah.
He was intense, but he's one of those people you're like, well, maybe he's got like the touch of the tism, you know, like, I don't know, you just give him a break. And that's how he gets into your house and murders you, is because you're willing to let your guard down around him a little bit.
And he did have an eerie confidence to him too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he could walk up to anybody and just start talking to them. He's got like a broodingness.
Yeah. And that he felt much more like an anti-hero to me, because you were, to an extent, you were supposed to sympathize with him.
Yeah.
And you are supposed to kind of really start to get into his head and start to understand, like,
almost like it's a portrait of a serial killer.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
I mean, that was just an artsy term back then to call a movie a portrait of a whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. And that's kind of what about the movie I like is they do rug pull you for it though.
Yes.
And that's the other thing these two movies have in common is they have a chilling last moment. And I think they're competitive for which is the most chilling, although I think Confessions wins. I think Confessions you leave feeling really dirty.
Yes.
Henry you leave feeling pretty dirty. So, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. I've always thought Confessions didn't get enough love.
I think of the two, I definitely have to agree that Confessions, the end line, the end scene is much more chilling, and it kind of sticks with you. But what sticks with you for Portrait is the whole ride. Like, it's not just that one moment, it's the whole thing. Like you kind of remember the whiplash that you feel more than anything else, or at least I did.
I think that's a fair statement. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to pick your brain a little bit more about your first impressions on Henry before we dive deep into this portrait of a serial killer.
Hey.
Right after this. So we're back talking about Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. And I want to mention the poster for Henry, the poster that became infamous, wasn't even that salacious. It was a shot of Henry from toward the end of the film when he's looking at himself in the mirror in that sleazy hotel room.
Yeah.
He's got the grimace going, looking at himself, and it's in a little square cutout, all black. And above it, it says, "He's not Freddy. He's not Jason. He's real."
Ooh, I like that though.
Yeah. So that is, I mean, that's what they were going for. This idea that he was believable and real, which I do feel that's the case, which is funny because, as we mentioned, very minimally based on a true story at all. But he does come off like a real person. The crimes he commits are not shocking, that he could get away with them. Like they're in the time period, you know,
Mm-hmm.
The idea that, you know, if somebody pulls up to help you with your car and nobody's around, you just shoot them and drive away. How would anybody ever catch you? You have no connection to that person. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, and I don't want to murder anybody, but I get where that, you know, how that could work, I guess. So, but what were your first impressions? I mean, you talked about it a little bit before the break. When we put it up, I put it up on the big screen for you, and you were watching it like a week after you first saw Confessions.
The first thing that really struck me was how starkly different the like opening credits are, and also how starkly different, like, by and large, the soundtracks are.
Sure.
I think that I like the soundtrack of Portrait a little bit more. And not just because Buckethead sampled it.
Quite a bit, yeah.
But also I just feel like the atmosphere that it builds is so perfect for that movie. I really liked it.
The soundtrack is very experimental. It's a very like a very out there synthesizer thing, and they do this whole thing where they sampled violent sounds, like the sounds of yelling and glass breaking and women screaming, and played it as notes in the music, but very subtly, not out and out. It was kind of almost, it was like one step above subliminal. I mean, you could notice it if you were listening. No, the music is one of the most powerful parts of Henry. It's very engrossing, and the opening is very artsy. And that's the thing I would say is John McNaughton is pretty artsy at times. Nothing against him. I think that that's why Henry works, is because it is kind of an art film in a lot of ways. It's really not a slasher movie. It's a character study.
Yeah.
And an unflinching one, which is kind of, I think unflinching is a good way to describe Henry.
I would agree.
You know, there's never any looking away or anything like that. So, but I've always thought it was a great film. And I've always thought that it's one of those movies that, like, if somebody is saying, I want to get into horror movies, but I don't know if I have the stomach, I'm like, all right, well, we should show you Henry. You know, we should show you Texas Chainsaw, just to get you started on like movies that are going to really gut punch you to see where you land. So, but since you mentioned it, we could jump into the beginning of the film, because that was actually a really good segue. Of yours. Yeah. But so the opening are these tableaus of dead women. And the way they're revealed is, we hear the music and the camera just moves to reveal these women in various states of just gruesome murder.
Yeah.
And supposedly those were based on actual reports on Henry Lee Lucas. I don't know how accurate that actually is, or maybe they got inaccurate reports at the time. Who knows? Because this was a long time ago. But that's where that concept those concepts came from.
Yeah.
So we see Henry traveling, going places, he's on the highway or whatever, and then each time he leaves a place, we get this tableau: dead woman in the hotel, dead woman in the creek.
Yeah, dead woman in a shop. Or
and just the slow camera moves in to the dead person, and the music, this ethereal
while there's sounds of like subtle crashing,
and screams and swear, die bitch, like that's in one of the sounds they put in there. It's very eerie, and it is fascinating because it's almost like it's displaying like works of art that Henry has left behind.
Yeah.
Because tableau, for those who don't know, it's literally posing as art. It's not still life technically, but it's people staying in one position, that they've been positioned in very specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, it is kind of like they're revealing the artwork that Henry's created in a very twisted way.
Yeah. And I feel that there was the way the music cues with the tableaus was very similar to me that the music cue changed in the home invasion scene of Confessions. And I liked how that music cue wasn't just at the start of the movie. There was several times there was different tableaus, like even throughout the movie, and you would hear that. And so it almost kind of like psychologically conditioned you that when you started to hear that like otherworldly synth, you were like, oh no, we're going to see like another death tableau.
Yeah. Well, and the idea is that in a way, what they want you to have, because most of the time when we're seeing these tableaus, we haven't even really met Henry yet. He's just kind of existing in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like we're getting his reputation preceding him. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, oh, you're familiar with my work, and now you're meeting me, which is twisted, dark, and creepy, which you'll probably hear those words in that order at least a few more times during this. And we haven't even gotten to Chicago yet, but we will right after this.
So after all of these death tableaus following Henry around, he finally pulls up to like a mall or a shopping center or something, and he's watching women as they leave, and finally sees one and like tracks her down and follows her home, and we can see the gears turning, but then a guy comes out to meet her like outside the door, and Henry just like drives away. And we start to really get the feeling pretty immediately that this is a very different portrayal than in Confessions.
Yeah, he's a bit more plotting.
Yeah.
And in Confessions, he didn't like want to get caught, but he also would have never, in Confessions, he would have never stayed in one place so long while killing so often.
Yeah.
Although if you're going to do it anywhere, Chicago makes the most sense.
And were they going to come looking for you?
It's just there's a lot of bodies to dig through.
Yeah. So, Chicago.
Chi-town, the Windy City.
So yeah, we really see he's methodical.
Yeah.
In this one, almost. And that pretty much immediately goes into meeting Becky and Otis, because they meet each other like at the airport. And as they're like driving back to his apartment, I don't know, I got the feeling that like she was supposed to be much more of a damsel in distress in this version, because in Confessions she's like a loose cannon.
Well, calling her a damsel in distress in comparison to the depiction in like Confessions of a Serial Killer is an interesting way to put it. In this one, she is not murderous.
Yeah.
I mean, she's really just like a normal, moral human being. She's also much older.
Mhm.
She's in, which is hilarious because the follow-up is she's in her early 20s. So much older. Because in Confessions, she was 16, and I think in real life she was 13,
13
years old or
12,
something like
14.
that.
Yeah.
So, but in this, she's Otis's sister, who they picked her up at the airport, and Otis and Henry were friends in prison, but Henry got out a few years before Otis did, and they met back up after Otis got out. And Becky's married to a guy, I think his name was Leroy.
Yeah.
And Leroy was not a nice man, it sounds. So apparently Becky packed up, left Leroy, sent their daughter, to live with her mom. And she's in Chicago for a spell to catch her breath, crash with Otis, and possibly try to get set up to move to Chicago.
Yeah.
The idea being if she finds a good job and things are working out okay, then she'll send for her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Very different from Becky just kind of being a drifter and ending up with them and everything like that. So she's a lot more, I mean, like of the normal human in this scenario. It also becomes apparent very quickly that Otis, and I'm getting a little ahead, but Otis doesn't know Henry just kills people.
No.
Like he doesn't have any clue. He knows that Henry killed his mother, which we'll get into in a minute. But he doesn't know that he's killed lots of people. He figures he's into some bad stuff.
Yeah, but his whole thing is kind of like it's none of his business, and like,
well, he's slinging dope.
Yeah,
on the side, he's on parole, working at a gas station as
selling weed.
Yeah, and just selling weed. So, he's already and flirting with the young patrons for the weed because he's a creep. I mean, he's just a total creep.
Yeah.
So. And I think Tom Toll's depiction was very, very good. I mean, he's believable. He's the kind of guy that, like, the more you get to know him, the more you realize, okay, harmless is not what I would ascribe to his description.
Yeah,
but it takes a minute.
Yeah,
because at first he seems like he's just kind of a good old boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. He seems like he's just kind
of a little crass, a little rough around the edges.
But he's not, but he's not nothing dangerous. And then the more you're around and the more you realize, hey. So Becky is, of course, immediately enamored with the brooding stranger living in their apartment. And Henry is overall like, okay, your sister's staying here. That's fine. Because at first he didn't remember. And then Otis literally said, I told you about that. He was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
which is like, if anything humanizes Henry more, it's that. I've been that guy. I've been that before. I told you all about it and you said it was fine. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, then it's fine. If past me was fine with it, then I'm fine with it now. I'm fine
with it too.
But, so of course, Becky is just fascinated by him.
Yeah.
So she talks to Otis, and Otis, God, he is really a well-written character. Just immediately spills the beans. Because, well, I guess it's not entirely Otis's fault. He says, like, he was in jail. And she was like, what for? Did he kill his mama? Did he rob a bank? And Otis is like, well, she was right the first time. And she's like, what? And he's like, you were right the first time. He killed his mama? Yeah. Beat her head in with a baseball bat. And the look on his face, too, Otis. I mean, this character's he's so great. He's such a perfect villain. But like the way he just smiles when he tells her the gruesome details, he's also such a big brother. He's just like grossing out his little sister. But so what's interesting about this, though, is that it doesn't scare her away. It actually kind of pulls her in.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, shocker of the century, Otis's home life growing up wasn't so good, which means Becky's wasn't so good. And we get throughout the film little tastes of the awful things her father did to her, that range from beatings and verbal abuse to sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
We get it's the whole shebang. But I love that he tells her, like, don't tell Henry I told you, he'll kill me. And like the moment he's not there and she's alone with Henry, I think Otis was going to go, he had to run an errand or something. And Henry's like, I'll hang back.
Yeah, they're just sitting there playing cards.
Yeah, I'll hang back. You know, I'd want to mention, by the way, because I know people are going to mention it. I know that my Henry voice at the beginning really almost sounded like Stone Cold Steve Austin, by the way. I realized it as soon as I was doing it in the microphone. But he hangs back and they're playing cards. And she almost immediately just goes like, did you really kill your mama? And you're like, wow.
Yeah, it wasn't even like 2 beats.
You're really good at this. Like you and Otis both, man, like lips of steel. You would just keep a secret like nobody's business.
Tact. Just tact.
That's the word. That used to be a t-shirt with Otis' character's head. It just says tact. It's just him smiling.
I know what I'm making tomorrow.
Oh, but instead of it scaring her away, because at first Henry's obviously taken aback by it, she explains her abuse and how her home life was really bad and how she could kind of understand, like, she basically wants to know, like, she must have done something really bad to you, you know, for you to do that. And that kind of blows his mind because she did do a lot of really bad things to him, and he describes them, and they're very similar to Confessions we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, describes his mom prostituting, beating them, making them watch her have sex with men. You know, and also added the part about dressing him up in a dress and stuff like that, which is one of the few times he really came off as vulnerable. Because when he says that, she just goes, in a dress. And he's like, what? You think that's funny? And she's like, no, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So they bond over this. But when Henry's telling her how he did it, he says he shot her, his mom. And then she's like, Otis said it was a baseball. He's like, oh yeah.
Well, it's even better though, because at first he's saying that he stabbed her.
Oh yeah.
Like
right.
Initially he says like I stabbed her, and then like they keep talking about it, and then he keeps reminiscing. He's like, yeah, it was when I was 14 and I couldn't take it anymore. And after she hit me in the head with a beer bottle, I grabbed the gun and I shot her. And Becky's like, I thought you said.
Yeah, you're right.
So he can't like, Otis didn't get it right. He can't even keep the story straight, but that doesn't raise any alarm bells for her that he can't keep the story straight of how he killed his mom, which you'd think your first murder you would kind of remember.
Well, he never said it was his first murder.
Oh, fair enough.
But no, you're right. But it also, although they didn't do a lot of that, the Henry Lee Lucas doubt stuff, they did way more of it in Confessions. That is one of those moments where you realize Henry's not entirely honest. He's kind of pathological because he's literally made up multiple stories about killing his mom. And we're almost certain he did kill his mom. But the way has changed from every time he tells it.
Yeah.
And that could be deeper too. I mean, Henry could just be delusional, completely deluded. And when he retells the story, it's just whichever, he hated his mother so much, it's just whichever fantasy he's having in that moment.
Whichever one feels good in that moment. Yeah.
Well, I mean, killing your mother is a big element with serial killers. And it's interesting because when do you know who Ed Kemper is?
Can't say I do.
We'll talk about Ed Kemper right after the break because this is going to get heady. Oh God, I didn't mean it like that. He cuts off a lot of people's heads. Right after this. So we're talking real quick about Ed Kemper, the serial killer who was most active in May of 1972 and through April of 1973. He murdered 7 women, including his own mother.
That's actually a lot of people.
In under a year or just over a year. So Ed Kemper was a really fascinating figure in the world of serial killers because he was, well, first of all, he was a mammoth of a man. He was 6'9".
God damn.
And often weighed over 300 pounds. He was very, very big. He was extremely soft-spoken. And when he was in prison, he was notoriously kind, calm, and friendly. His murders, most of them included necrophilia, decapitation, dismemberment, and possibly cannibalism. Although I don't know how I feel about possibly cannibalism because he admitted to everything he did, I'm pretty sure, once he got arrested. So he was known as the co-ed killer. He mostly killed co-eds.
Okay.
And and at the age of 15, he murdered his paternal grandparents. I didn't know about that. So I guess he killed even more. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was convicted of murdering 7 women. Sorry. He may have murdered more people than that. But so Kemper was killing these co-eds, and cutting their heads off and just doing all these awful things. He killed his grandmother after an argument using a rifle, and then stabbed her afterward. When his grandfather came home, he shot him in the driveway and then phoned his mother and she told him to call the police. So apparently Kemper told the police he's 14. He just wanted to see what it felt like to kill grandma. And later said he killed his grandfather because he would be angry at him. Kemper's crimes were deemed incomprehensible for a 15-year-old to commit, and the court psychiatrist diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia and sent him away for a while, but he was eventually released. So anyway, I don't want to digress on him a ton. My point is, Kemper kills all these women, and he claimed later on that he would imagine his mother every time he killed them, that he wanted to kill his mother so badly that he would kill any woman to feel like he was killing his mother. So eventually, after he killed so many women, he just went to his mother, killed her, cut her head off, and then turned himself in. And basically was like, please stop me.
Woof.
Yeah. So then he ends up in prison. And like I said, he would talk to police officers. He would talk to crime investigators. He would do interviews. He would talk about other criminals. Like anytime somebody was like, I want to understand the mind of a killer, he'd be like, I'll sit with you as long as you want and talk about my life. But he was odd. He was a very strange guy. The show Mindhunter had a depiction of him that was shockingly bizarre and accurate in many ways. But the idea of killing all these people, then finally being like, what I need to do is kill my mother and then turn myself in, please stop me. He requested the death penalty.
Wow.
But they commuted him to life or didn't give him the death penalty at all. He spent his time in prison volunteering, including reading books out loud for the blind on audio cassette. From what I've heard, he recorded hundreds of hours of audio cassettes of books for specifically a service that then they would dub those tapes and give them to the blind. So it's possible if you listen to an audiobook in the 70s and 80s, you probably heard Ed Kemper's voice because he would sit and do it. Because they would let him sit in a room alone with a tape recorder and he would just read books, and he loved to read.
Uh-huh.
So he was, and his attitude when people would talk to him is he'd be like, they should never let me out of here. If you let me out, I'll do it again. I know I will, because I don't know how to stop. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I think that is also terrifying. The idea of having a degree of awareness of your situation, but also a degree of understanding of what compulsion is. And I suppose, after killing so many people, he must have realized, I can't stop. I either don't want to stop, or I simply am not capable of stopping myself. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I need to be in prison. And I've always been fascinated by criminals like that, by violent criminals who are like, I belong in here. Mm-hmm. I kind of respect that.
Yeah.
Being able to kind of see yourself for who you are, who you actually are and what you've actually done, and accept the consequences. Because it's really the only way to even get a vague amount of atonement is to accept the punishment for the crimes you've committed, accept the weight of what you've done.
Yeah.
And even that is not much comfort to people who've been harmed, but it's something.
Yeah. It's better than nothing.
It's better than words.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be like, I know I did wrong. That's why I'm going to sit in this cage for 25 years or for the rest of my life or for whatever. So anyway, that all being said, I just think that's a fascinating case. Henry's not like this, not like that.
No.
So he's had his little heart to heart with Becky about killing his ma. And, now what are they up to now?
So, one thing I thought was interesting was, Otis works at an auto repair shop and also sells drugs. And Henry's just kind of like a jack of all trades handyman though.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a day where he goes and he's like spraying down an apartment building, as like just doing an odd job.
He's a bug man.
And, the apartment owner's like, I don't have any more jobs for you now, but like, here's some money, and basically like gives him some extra cash.
He says, think of it as a retainer, like answer when I call.
Yeah.
He even says, if I don't call you in a couple of days, call me.
Yeah.
Which is funny because as a small business owner, I've said things like that to people I'm hiring for things. I've been like, if you don't hear from me in 4 days, you call me because I do want to hire you. I may forget.
Yeah. So like, I love that little bit of just like humanity there. But then Henry tries to give back the like canister, the big like bug spray thing, and the apartment owner says like, oh, you can keep it because I know you're going to have to use it again. So what does Henry do? He immediately turns around and uses that to disguise himself to get into someone's house and murder them.
Not just someone, a woman home alone.
Home and alone. And just walks up and, obviously introduces himself as like, oh, I'm here, I can spray your house or whatever. And again, we don't see the actual act of the murder. We just see him walking up, and then we hear the music kind of swell and change. And then it goes to the camera slowly panning over her dead, mostly naked, on the couch, like strangled to death with cords.
And we hear like an echo of the sounds that had happened.
Yeah.
The screams and the die, and
her, yeah.
Oh, and I always thought that sound, that oh kind of thing, it felt almost like, I don't know, the sound makes me think of being underwater.
Kind of, yeah.
It makes me think of like relaxation music.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very creepy.
Yeah, like what you would hear in a spa or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost like world music, but then with the weird scream parts and stuff.
Yes.
So, but he's just getting started, kids. And we'll talk more about that right after this. So real quick, I did want to mention when I was looking back at some Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer trivia, that two things came to mind that made me laugh a lot, which is number one, Henry's outfit, which is just kind of a coverall jacket, was actually Michael Rooker's uniform from his job as a janitor he had at the time, which is why every time they did a killing scene or whatever, he'd take his jacket off because he couldn't get blood on it.
I love it. And I especially love it because we have been there where it's like, okay, now switch out the jacket. We can't get that one dirty. Yeah.
No, for real. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that they had some issues with casting for the victims, the murdered women victims, because the violence, the gratuity of the nudity, and the heinousness of the murders. So all of the tableau murder victims, the young women tableau murder victims, are the same woman.
Really?
John McNaughton had a friend of his portrayed all of them.
Huh. Well, so, I mean, it works.
No, I would never have guessed.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been pointed out, because they're so differently styled and everything. But yeah, they were all the same person. So I just want to mention that because that's just a cool little tidbit.
Yeah. No, that is very interesting. And again, very similar to stunts we've had to pull.
Oh yeah. I mean, we didn't have $100,000 to burn through.
Yeah.
Although they were shooting on 16 millimeter, which is another big difference between this and Confessions. Confessions was shot on 35. I don't know how much money they had in Confessions. I think they had $200,000 though.
Okay.
But so I mean, I don't know for sure. Yeah. I mean, they went to a more traditional route. This was definitely a lot more kind of run and gun than they were.
Yeah.
So Henry's killed yet another young woman. And now he's back at the house, and Becky's got some news.
Yeah. Becky's celebrating because she got a job
at a hair salon.
Yeah. She's a shampoo girl. Which I do love there are several scenes where the three of them are just like hanging out, and it's almost wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those scenes where like they're both almost like kind of making fun of her, like, what the fuck is a shampoo girl? And she's like, no, I've done the job before. And like it's a well-respected job. And then they Otis, being the big brother, makes fun of her because she's been a dancer before in her life. And so he, kind of ribs at her about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then she wants to show off she's gotten a new t-shirt. And again, just the layers of character exposition she puts on. She's got this t-shirt and she kind of lifts it up and shows it off. And Henry goes, "What does it say?" And you just realize that he's totally illiterate.
Well, he says it so nonchalantly. He just says, "What's it say?"
Yeah.
I mean, he's like got a smile on his face because he's like joined in on the happy feelings.
Yeah,
What's
it's
it say?
like, yeah.
I heart Chicago. No, and that's a brief little thing, which I honestly, knowing what I know about Michael Rooker and him growing up very, very poor in poverty and stuff like that, I always wondered if that was because he's from Jasper, Alabama originally. I always wondered if that was an improv or if that was in the script, because we never get a hint that Henry can't read again. Mm-hmm. Although we never see him like out and out read. And people who I've known a few illiterate people, they memorize street signs and they memorize road signs. They memorize the shapes of the words. They just don't know exactly what they don't know how to sound them out. But they know like what that road is or whatever.
Yeah.
It's tough because I mean, one of them's now he's 50. So like 50 years old and he's functionally illiterate. And it's one of those things where like being alive that long, you pick things up. But he can't sit down and read a book. It's impossible for him to, I mean, he would feel it was impossible. So I appreciated that little reference because some people just never, especially back then, I mean, they never get to learn to read.
Yeah. And it just added that layer of understanding to his character. But then the tone shifts a little bit because they want Becky to show off the shirt, and she tells them like, okay, I'll change into the shirt, but you guys have to turn around. And they both turn around. Henry stays put, but Otis tries to get a peek of her while she's like just in her bra. And that's when we start to realize that Otis is just kind of creepy with her.
I was going to say, we just noticed he's creepy.
But with her in particular.
Yeah, of
course. So that kind of like, that starts the understanding of like, okay, he may have like some dark feelings toward her.
Yeah.
And she like kind of shuts it down, but Henry really steps up and like is the one that like pushes him so that he turns back around. Mm-hmm. So again, we start to get some more about Henry's character, that he's really stepping up as Becky's protector. Mm-hmm. So we start to, I don't know, I started to feel kind of like, again, he was more of an anti-hero at this point, because you start to feel like he's Becky's protector. But then she encourages the guys to go out and have a fun guys' night out. Yeah,
while she cleans up, because she had made them a nice fish for dinner and, to celebrate, which is the other thing too, before we get into the guys' night out. You mentioned like when they're all hanging out and stuff, it really does come off kind of natural. And, her cooking them all dinner to like show how grateful she is that she can crash with them, even though they live in a slum, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
If you've never seen the movie, they live in a disgusting
It is place. A kitchen, a living room, and a bedroom.
There's 2 bedrooms.
That's right. There's 2 bedrooms.
Early on, Henry says he'll take the couch and she can take his bed, and there's a whole thing.
But the bedrooms are like shoe boxes. Yeah, they're tiny.
They're small. And on top of that, I mean, they do not keep their home clean. I mean, the place is bad anyway, but they are also pretty slobbish. So I don't know, it all kind of adds to the ambiance. But her, I just found it kind of adorably wholesome that she like cooks them dinner to celebrate and then says, no, I'll clean up. You guys go get some drinks. Have a good time. Like, thank you guys. And do they have a good time? Boy, howdy, do they. And we'll talk about, you left way too hard at that. We'll talk about that right after this.
So Henry and Otis go out for a drive and get some beers, get some smokes, and pretty much immediately decide to pick up some hookers. And, park around in a dark alley, as one does.
Well, yeah, and when in Chicago, visit our dark alleys.
And they're having a fun time, each in their own way. The problem being that Henry's way of employing a woman of the night is a little less conventional. And Otis's hooker in the front seat, she like kind of notices that in the back seat, the girl is now screaming and gargling because she's being choked to death.
Mm-hmm.
And she rightfully starts freaking out. And so then Otis, he starts freaking out and he grabs his hooker and starts strangling her. And so as like a bonding exercise, I guess, they both kill their hookers and then dump them out.
Well, Henry breaks their necks.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Because he kills the girl in the back, which isn't like super obvious. But then he just reaches over while Otis is like fighting with the girl and he just snaps her neck and Otis's face.
Yeah, he's mortified.
Yeah, he's completely in shock. His eyes are bulging out of his head. And Henry's just like opens the door and he dumps one of them out, dumps the other one out, moves them away from the car a bit into the edge of the alley. And Otis is just staring at him. He's like, come on, like, okay, come on, and I'll drive, like, let's go. And they drive out of there. He doesn't even, I actually made it sound like he had more of an impetus to get out right away. It was more just like, well, come on, let's go.
Like, this is what we do now.
And Otis is just, he's just terrified. And if I remember correctly, right after that, it cuts to them and they're just sitting in the car and Henry's eating a burger and fries in the car and drinking a cup of coffee.
Yeah, while Otis has got like the 1,000-yard stare going on.
Yeah, and this exchange is really interesting because Otis is just kind of like, you just killed him. And he's like, so what? He's like, you've done this before. He's like, yeah. And I think Otis said something like, or he says to Otis, he's like, you've never killed before? And he's like, well, yeah, but it was different. And he's like, how was it? And Henry's attitude is like, how was it different? And you get the idea, they never really spell it out, but you get the idea Otis may have killed somebody in a fight or killed somebody in a, dispute, like, robbery. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that like it was mutual combat.
Crime of passion.
Yeah. I don't think he ever killed anybody for the sake of killing. He may have killed somebody for personal gain or, whatever. I definitely don't think he ever killed anybody in a clean version of self-defense.
Yeah.
Because remember, kids, it's not self-defense. If you leave the bar, get a gun, come back in and shoot them. It's not. That was a case in Florida.
Oh, God.
There was
only in Florida.
Well, there was a ruling that set the precedent that is not self-defense in, I want to say Wisconsin or Minnesota, like in the 90s. But recently, a woman left and got a weapon and came back and attacked her ex-husband, I think it was. And yeah, they were like, that is not self-defense. You literally fled the scene of the conflict and then returned to the conflict with a weapon. That is making the conflict worse. We'll say it really slow. God. They tried to make the argument, I won't go into this a ton, but they tried to make the argument that it was like, but what about the stand your ground law? And they were like, that is not what it is. That is not what it is. You do not flee and then re-engage. Re-engaging ends the argument of self-defense.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so Otis has made it clear that he's never been a cold-blooded killer.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably every other thing there is.
Yeah, but not that.
But as Henry talks to him, it kind of feels better.
Yeah. Well, the thing that Henry says, I don't know, I found it chilling, was Henry says the thing is, anytime you kill someone, it always comes down to your life or theirs. And that's the thing that it like clicks for Otis. And it was chilling for me, one, because of Henry's conviction.
Yeah. No, he seems like he truly believes what he's saying.
And then two, that like totally changes Otis's mind. And then for the rest of the movie, it's almost like Otis is chasing that high.
Yes.
Afterward.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
And they become like they're egging each other on. And whereas before, like Henry was pretty calculating and methodical, he's trying to teach Otis to be calculating and methodical, but Otis is just going off. He just wants to kill now.
Well, and it seems like, I mean, for whatever version of it there may be, that Otis is, or that Henry is in some way fond of Otis. He considers him a friend and a confidant in whatever way he's capable. I mean, because you could talk for hours about Henry's layers or whatever, but my favorite way that they get across that Otis feels better about it all and that he's starting to shift away from the shock. I just love this because it's great storytelling. And again, this might be in the script or this could have been improvisation because these actors are all really good. And on top of that, a lot of these scenes, I don't know if you noticed this because it's a very engrossing movie, but there are a lot of scenes that are minimal takes. They're one shots for really long periods of time.
Yes.
And that, I know from experience, that leaves tons of room for minor improvisation because you don't have to worry about matching in the coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, Henry says, "You want a fry?" And he eats one. And then Henry explains more of what you were saying. And then after Otis listens to all that, he just takes the whole bag of fries and just starts eating them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that says a lot because that tells you like his appetite's back, which means he's no longer mortified.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, if you look at Otis, I mean, that's a man that never met a French fry he didn't eat. That's all I'm saying. Never met a fried potato he didn't eat.
Or any potato.
Listen, that is a fried potato eating son of a bitch. Anyway. But no, so, and this is where the film really kind of reaches its apex of, or not apex, but really reaches its, what's the term? Like it gets its, footing.
Its stride.
Stride. That's the word I was looking for. It gets its stride for being depraved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now that Otis knows what Henry does and Henry's willing to let Otis kind of be a part, all bets are kind of off. Yeah. And we'll talk about those bets and the importance of testing electronics before you buy them, among other things, right after this.
So after an exciting evening,
right?
Becky's out at work at the salon. Henry's off doing whatever it is he does. And Otis is at home just watching TV, and TV's not getting great reception. So he sits there and fights with it, and being the hothead that he is, eventually decides that kicking the screen is the thing to do.
Hey, I mean, worked for Elvis, although he shot it, but whatever.
I mean, still works.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and one thing about Henry is time is a little loose.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really know how long went by from when they killed those hookers to then. I would assume a day or two, but there's no real context.
Yeah.
All we know is a couple weeks.
Yeah. All we know is some time has passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he kicks the TV and, shatters it, and it's smoking. And now he's fuming because now he's got like a totally broken TV instead of one that just doesn't have great reception.
Well, the vertical hold was not working. Okay. Gosh.
And Henry walks in and he's just like, you broke the TV.
You broke it sounds like Steve Austin, and I can't sound like Steve Austin when I want to sound like Steve Austin. You broke the TV.
So the key to doing your Steve Austin
is to do Henry Lee Luke or Henry from Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yeah.
Give me a hell yeah. It's close. I'm also afraid to wreck my voice, but
yeah, don't hurt yourself.
Thank you. But so yeah, Henry's like, you busted the TV up, and he's like, well, it wasn't working right. It's a great exchange. So he's like, well, let's go get you a new TV then. And he's like, all right. He's all excited. So they go to what you call the know somebody shop, the fence.
I've never heard it called a know somebody shop.
Really?
No.
Oh man. So, well then for the uninitiated, that's where you go to get the finest in merchandise that falls off of trucks but manages to be completely unscathed in every way.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Yeah,
so it looks like it is a back room of an actual business. We don't really see where it is, but they go in through like a garage door, basically, like a loading bay door. And the guy literally, there's this very rotund gentleman sitting behind a desk in a white shirt. And there's just electronics all around him. And he's got this
floor to ceiling.
Yeah. I mean, some are out, some are in boxes. And he has a little remote and he presses it and closes the garage door behind them. And I have to say, in my opinion, that guy is a highlight of this film.
I loved him too.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He is meant to be hated.
That's why I like him so much.
Because he's so over the top.
Yeah.
Nobody without real provocation is this much of a prick. Nobody. This dude looks like he is so angry because they come in and they say, we're looking for a TV. And he's like, okay, well, what are you thinking? He's like, I've got $50. He's like, I could sell you this one right here. And it's a smaller TV and it's black and white. And he's like, oh, black and white, black and white. He's like, what do you expect for $50? And I got to admit, in the 80s, I mean, I was born in 86. So this film came out actually, I think it screened the month I was born, which explains a lot. But TVs were not that cheap. No. I mean, now you could walk into a Best Buy and get a $79 TV, but back then, I mean, TVs, VCRs, they were expensive. In fact, I remember my first VCR when it finally died and I had to get a new one at 15 years. I was 15 years old. The copyright thing on it, the manufacture date was 1983. So it was 2 years older than I was. So anyway, but so he's he starts, the moment he says I want to look at color, he just starts going, oh, I'm so sorry. He just starts being a prick immediately.
Yeah, super condescending.
This guy, he must wake up in the morning and fill his Cheerios bowl with piss and get mad when people throw milk at him. I mean, because piss in his Cheerios ain't enough. I mean, he is so angry and insulting. He's like, oh, you're a smart one, aren't you? He's just so friggin'
so antagonistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that really seals it is they want a bigger one and one that's color and
they insist on testing them.
Yeah, they want to test it. And then he gets really mean about that. And he's like, just take the $50 one, give me your money and go. And it's
well, and when he's selling them on stuff, because he shows them this really nice colored TV, but it's $150 or $200 or something like that. And there's all, when he wants to plug it, he's like, what, you don't trust me? Which is hilarious because this guy is such a sack of shit. I mean, he's just a bad dude. Because his room, it's probably in the back of a repair shop would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
And he's running the fence out of it.
Yeah.
Because he has all the stuff to fix electronics in the back, which would make sense if you were going to fence, stolen or whatever goods is some would show up broken. So fix a few of them, get them out of there.
Yeah.
But, the reason I bring it up is he mentions this is, a really great TV. And then, I'll throw in, this VCR or this camcorder, which tells you how old the movie is. I remember explaining that to you. I was like, did you notice he had to tell them what the word camcorder meant?
Yeah.
So they're like, camcorder. He's like, it's a video camera and a recorder. You just put the tape in and you're ready to go. And they're both kind of like, oh, and Otis says, like, you can make your own movies on that. He's like, yes, that is what it's for. And I was like, man, he's such a jerk. So he offers to throw that in for $500. It's worth $1,000. The TV is like $200 or whatever. It's worth $500 or whatever. So he says, like, yeah, and they're like, we don't have enough money. So he gets livid with them. Like you were saying, like he gets livid with them about you. Why did you tell me that to begin with? Why'd you waste so much of my time? Just give me your $50, take the set and get the fuck out. He's so angry from like, that's not Chicago. That's New York. So,
I'm glad you mentioned that, because the whole time they were interacting with him, I was like, did they suddenly transport to the Bronx? Like, what the fuck happened here?
No, he's Queens mean. He's Queens mean. He grew up on a friggin' fire escape. He's so mean. So finally, they've had enough. Otis grabs him and starts choking him. He puts him in a chokehold, I think, right?
Yeah, Otis puts him in a chokehold, and Henry grabs the soldering iron on his desk and just starts stabbing him with it.
And it appears it's on.
Yeah.
And the way they sell that it's on and it hurts is the music. Meow, meow. Every time he gets stabbed, the synthesizer goes, meow, meow, like this really high-pitched thing. And it's, like they're stabbing him and stabbing him. It's heinous. But then after he's been stabbed and he's all like, they slam the TV set, that the cheaper set, over his head. And so this is why this movie is legendary, beloved, and quoted, is because it has these little highly memorable things. The fact that after the TV's busted over his head, Henry looks at him and goes, Otis, plug it in. Everyone remembers Otis, plug it in. Like it's just, and that's the other reason I think people get disturbed by this movie, is because they kind of make it fun.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah.
Which is a classic move when you want the audience to really understand what's going on. I mean, just watch Boogie Nights, just watch Casino, really almost any Scorsese movie. He makes the first half how fun crime is or how fun war is. Mm-hmm. And then the second half is, but actually it's this. And it helps you kind of understand how somebody could be involved.
Yeah.
Although in this case, it's much more less intense than that, but they plug it in. Of course, the TV like makes the guy's head gush blood and sparks everywhere. And wouldn't you know it? Next scene, they have a brand new TV and a camcorder.
Isn't it great? Isn't it?
Sometimes
life is good sometimes.
It just works out. And we'll talk about how that worked out right after this.
So Otis, he's got to check in with his parole officer.
Oh, yeah, because, he's on parole, of course.
Yeah, because he just got out of jail recently.
Well, and we figure out basically that's why he has that job at the gas station instead of just slinging drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Is he needs to have a job
something
for the parole officer, because he even tells him, like, how are you working there 5 days a week or every day? And he's like, nah, 2-3 days. And the parole officer says something I thought was hilarious. He says, well, if they take you down to 2 or less, let me know. And I'm like, wait. I feel like one of those numbers is they fire you.
Right.
He's like, let me know and I'll see what we can do for you.
Yeah.
So, and the parole officer is completely disinterested.
Yeah. He is sitting there talking about like, oh, are you doing this? Are you doing that? And then takes a call and is like, actually, I've got to cut this short because I've got to go to like pick up my daughter or whatever.
No, it's even better than that. He says, I'm sorry to cut this short, but my son is getting orthodontic surgery, so I've got to take him. It's just so specific. It's perfect.
Yeah.
My dad's parole officer was nicer than that. A little bit more attentive.
Yeah.
So I only met him the one time. It was only moderately awkward. My dad seemed to like him, although I would do that too if I had a parole officer. I'd probably be super nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but
yeah, Otis, being the fine, upstanding citizen that he is, walks out of the meeting with his parole officer, then immediately gets into a stranger's car and does a drug deal.
Yeah. No, it's his own car.
Oh, it's his own car.
Or Henry's car. I think they only have one car.
Yeah, like they share it or something.
Yeah. But this teenage boy who he was like creeping out at the gas station to buy weed from him. Yeah, he sits down in the car with him and he sells him the bag of weed and he says, "You want to try it first?" and offers him the joint.
Yeah. And so they're sitting there like passing the joint back and forth, and Otis, again, being the kind of great guy that he is, puts his hand on the thigh of this teenage kid and starts like feeling him up.
Well, in the defense of that teenage kid, he had cat-like reflexes.
Because he immediately...
the moment his hand goes on his thigh, he just haymakers him right in the nose. Which makes sense because he already knows Otis is a creep.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine he got in there and was like, "I'm just chilling out, relaxing, buying drugs from that guy who wags his tongue at me." You know, so he's ready to knock his block off. And I mean... And it's not like on top of him being a creep. I mean, is there anyone more homophobic than a 1980s like football player? He looked like a football player. In fact, I'm pretty sure he was wearing a leather jacket.
Yeah, he was.
So
probably not.
So he's got that puts a little extra stank on it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
was not having it.
But Otis is livid.
Yeah.
And he's back at home and he's telling Henry like, "I want to kill that boy."
Yeah.
And, do you want to tell the chilling part?
So Henry, instead of telling him like, "No," or "It'll be fine," he says, "Just let it go. You don't want to try and kill him because people have seen you together.
Yeah.
So they'll know, like, if he goes missing, they'll know it's you. They'll put it together immediately, like, oh, well, he was hanging out with that, that 19-year-old kid was hanging out with that creepy guy at the auto body shop, like, and the kid disappeared. They're going to come looking for you." So they have to find some outlet for Otis's frustration.
He basically tells him, "You want to kill somebody, though?"
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So they drive down legendary Lower Wacker Drive in Chicago, which is there's a road where it goes up and it goes down.
Okay,
there's Upper Wacker Drive and Lower Wacker Drive. I don't know Chicago super well, but I remember a road named Wacker.
How could you not?
Right. So they go down into Lower Wacker Drive late at night, and generally not a lot of people are going to be on Lower Wacker Drive late at night because it's pretty much for work, like for going to job sites. And they pretend they have a car breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And they're baiting a trap. So sure enough, a good Samaritan pulls over, offers to help. And this scene it's so brutal because it's so immediate.
Yeah.
He just hands Otis the gun.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, what did he say? Do you remember what he said? Was he said like, "Otis, do you need his help?" Or something like that?
It is something. I can't remember
it was
exactly.
Something like that.
He's like, "I don't know, Otis. Do you need help?"
Oh, yeah. He's like, "Nope." And he just shoots. Oh, yeah. Because it's double entendre. He's saying, like, "Do you need help to kill this guy?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Nope." And he just shoots the guy dead. They get in their car and they drive away. And this is where Henry starts to become especially anti-hero-y because he starts explaining how you get away with it.
Yeah.
And this is the part that I think is super scary. And you could argue that it's scarier in Confessions because in Confessions, it's just, I don't know, I just kill a lot of people and then I just drive away and then I kill more people and I drive away. I try not to get caught, I guess. Like that's his attitude, which is also terrifying that he could kill so many people with that little amount of intellect.
Right.
But Henry is all about, you have to use a different MO. That means modus operandi. I bet you didn't know I knew Latin, like, and so he explains to him, like, if you kill somebody, you gotta, if you stab them in the stomach, the next time you gotta strangle them. And if you strangle them, next time you gotta shoot them in the heart. And then the next time you gotta, sometimes you chop them up, sometimes you don't. That way they think you kill 5 different people, they think there's 5 different murderers.
Yeah.
And that is very, I mean, it's pre-Tarantino, but it's a very Tarantino kind of like just laying out how to do crime. But it's also really scary to imagine that somebody has thought it out that much. And it does make sense because generally serial killers are habitual.
Yeah.
So him killing people in totally different ways every time would make it almost impossible to connect the crimes, which, you know, if 5 homicides from 5 different killers is not going to be as urgent as 5 homicides from one person.
Yeah.
That would make them really desperate to catch you if they knew you were that, you know, that prolific. And Otis even says like, so why can't I use a gun again? He's like, you can use a gun again, just not that one.
Yeah. Just a different kind of gun.
Yeah. It's wild because it's like he's taking him under his, you know, hellish wing.
Ooh.
And yeah, this is yeah. So this is kind of that part where he kind of comes off as an anti-hero because he's like explaining how he bucks the system. But this is something that always drove me crazy with this movie is when I hear people say like, you know, how Henry's, you know, not emotion, but like his moral elements, like how he would stop Otis from, you know, getting sexual with Becky and later on he stops Otis from doing some other twisted stuff too. And they'd always say like, well, he seemed to have like whatever. It's like, okay, but they killed that guy. They did not know him at all.
Yeah.
Like you could claim that somehow people crossed him before, but you can't claim it on that guy. I mean, there's no argument. We literally saw the entire interaction. Hey, do you guys need some help? Dead. You know? And you can say, well, Otis did it. Henry literally did everything but pull the trigger. Yeah, he literally said, hey, kill that guy.
Yeah.
Like, so anyway, but it does kind of give you that vibe, I think. Do you agree?
No, I agree. And that's one of the things that I liked is how it progressed, because what you have is at the first part of the film, all of the deaths are tableaus and they're really disconnected from Henry.
That's a really good way to put it.
And then the first murder where we really like see him committing the murder is him at the fence. And the way that it's played, or at least the way that I kind of was like seeing it, is we're almost supposed to be sympathetic to him killing.
Yeah, they definitely handed us the most please kill him kind of character
yeah,
ever.
Because he's such a fucking flaming asshole.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
From the second he opens his mouth.
So when they do kill him, you're almost like, oh God, finally.
Yeah, thank goodness that guy's been stabbed with a soldering iron.
Because that's what I wanted to do the whole time.
Come on, you know? So, no, you're totally right. They kind of make it seem like it's reasonable.
So every kill after that is almost like the film asking you, but do you agree with this one?
Mm.
And it's kind of like asking you where, like, it's an escalator and it's going down. Which level do you stop at?
Yeah.
So, you know, the fence, totally, we all understand. Then we get to the random stranger that they just kill on the side of the road. And it's like, he was, okay.
He was literally a good Samaritan.
Yeah, he was literally trying to help.
And the guy they cast for it, who I think was the director, although I read it might have actually been the production designer, was just a skinny white dude in a nice jacket. Like, there's no way he was there to mug them.
Yeah,
you know,
or do anything but just be nice.
Exactly. I mean, the dude looks like, he drinks milk 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that, but it made sense in my brain.
That does sound like a nice person.
It does, and a skinny person.
Yeah.
Very. But after that, of course, we also got a treat to them making a home movie at their house or at their apartment, and they're dancing to music and having a good time, and Becky and Henry are starting to get real friendly. Becky starts kissing on Henry, and Otis is jeering them on in a very kind of creepy way, trying to get them to like touch each other and stuff. And first of all, I mean, where'd they get the camcorder? I mean, that's so nice, but unfortunately, speaking of that moral elevator you were referencing, the next scene involving a camcorder that we'll be talking about might just be where you get off. Right after this.
Oh. So after making a fun little video at home.
Yeah, a home movie, if you will.
And I will.
Stealing my lines.
What to do with a video camera?
What do? And they do something very similar, because in Confessions, they have Polaroids.
Yeah.
Because they want to make their own skin magazine, is what they say.
Yeah.
So, or dirty magazine or whatever. And in Henry, they want to make their own horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this scene was very ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Because it's entirely, well, it's from the perspective of the video camera, although they're filming a TV set. Which, by the way, I could tell you why they did it that way for sure.
Why?
Because I don't know that in 1986, I don't know that they knew or that they could, in a reasonable cost way, print videotape to film.
Really?
If the technology existed, it would have been very expensive.
Okay.
So filming the TV set and showing that, like letting it be a TV screen in the middle of the frame would be the smartest way to show it. So we get to be reliving it as they're reliving it, which is just that alone, the idea when you commit a crime, it's a violent crime. It's one thing. When you film committing a violent crime, it is so much worse.
Yeah.
Because it means you want to relive this heinous thing.
And that's so this whole sequence, it's tough, it's rough, it's painful, but it's also genius for the exact reason that you're explaining, because it furthers the narrative and the character of both these guys, because we watch this play out and we're watching it on the TV set. And then after this whole terrible thing happens, the footage pauses.
Yeah.
And then rewinds. And then we look and see, and they are rewatching it.
Yeah. Just Henry and Otis.
Just Henry
Becky
and Otis. Because Becky doesn't know what's going on at all. So what they've done, it just immediately opens. There's a woman screaming. There's a man who's been tied up and gagged, and he's on the floor. And the woman is, like, most of her clothes have been ripped off, and Otis has grabbed her and holding her down and groping her and choking her. And we don't see Henry, but we see the camera kind of moving around. So we get the idea, like, Henry's the one holding the camera.
Right.
And it's so painful because to watch it unfold, because at first we're registering, okay, we feel bad for the woman, we feel bad for the man, and Henry's kind of like jeering from behind the camera, and he's like goading the man, like, what are you going to do? You can't save her now. And we're really worried about what's going to happen to the woman on screen, because Otis has made it very clear up to this point, like, what kind of creep he is. So we have some inklings of what he's capable of.
Yeah. Ugh.
Then the front door opens, and a 11, 12, 13-year-old kid, kind of walks in. And the way the room is set up is he wouldn't be able, when the door opens, he wouldn't be able to see what's going on until he, passes around part of the room. So he comes in and he can hear stuff going on, and he starts yelling, like, Mom, and the camera drops. Henry bolts forward and tackles the kid, pins him to the ground, grabs his head, and just breaks his neck.
Yeah.
And the woman loses it, absolutely loses it. And she, crumples in Otis's arms, and he grabs her head and breaks her neck.
And when he does it, he kind of looks to Henry for approval.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I did it. You did.
I did it. And then they grab something and they go over and they stab the man repeatedly. And that's when the footage stops, freezes, and then rewinds. and they're sitting there watching it together.
You forgot something, though.
What did I forget?
That makes it worse. After he's killed that woman, he starts trying to have sex with her, and Henry stops him.
Mm-hmm.
Says Otis, what are you doing? No, Otis, no. And he pulls him off her.
Mm-hmm.
Another example of the kind of anti-hero-ness that they keep handing to Henry because he stops Otis from committing necrophilia.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of morbid irony being that Henry Lee Lucas committed multiple acts of necrophilia, admittedly, throughout his crime spree. But so now they've established, Otis is really out there. He was going to sleep with the corpse.
Yeah.
But to be honest, with how heinous it all is, I don't blame you for forgetting that one detail.
Yeah.
But it is a point toward them trying to kind of make you think Henry is somehow even remotely good.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow.
And to me, and maybe I was reading into it a little bit too much. Maybe I'm just so jaded. But I feel like they were also, in a way, trying to give you an excuse to sympathize with Henry killing the kid, because the scenes prior to that are all him explaining to Otis how to get away with murder, that you never want to have any witnesses, that you want to make sure that there's no loose ends. You don't, so it's almost giving you this out of being but you can almost sympathize with him because he's so methodical. He wouldn't leave a loose end like a child who would tell everyone what they just saw.
Yeah.
And then with him telling Otis don't commit necrophilia, again, it kind of gives you this sense of maybe he isn't a total and complete monster.
Well, and he also mentioned, just because it'll pay off in a little bit, that the other trick to not getting caught is to keep moving.
Yes.
And so he mentions I probably can't be in Chicago much longer.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to mention that scene that we were just discussing with the family is what has been most heavily censored and caused Henry to not be released in multiple countries at the time.
I believe it.
In 1992, the British Board of Censorship, the director James Furman had previously announced on a film program on television that he could not envision Henry ever being granted a video certificate, as it was simply too disturbing to be viewed at home. We could talk for hours about the BBFC because there's a whole thing. There was an era where they released a list of movies that just were not even allowed.
Oh, the video nasties.
Oh, you remember the video nasties? Yeah. Henry was after that era.
Okay.
So it wasn't literally a video nasty, but it was very close. It was illegal to have copies of them in Britain.
Yeah.
And so people had them like crazy because that's the way that works.
Yeah.
So that sequence, rightfully so, caused a lot of people to be pretty upset. They kill a family.
Yeah, well, and see, that's the thing. You and I will both agree on this. It is a rough sequence to watch.
Yeah.
And I can't, if there's someone out there who would ever say, oh, well, I'm very sensitive, so I don't think I could watch that movie, I'm not going to say, oh, well, you're a bad person. But I don't agree with the government telling me that I'm not allowed to watch it. That's different.
I don't agree with the British government telling me anything. That's why I don't live there.
them doubly so. We fought a full war about it 200 years ago.
Two of them.
Yeah.
1812, which lasted till 1814. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and things are beginning to escalate because Becky has a surprise to drop at Henry's feet. Right after this. All right, so after all of that,
we need a change of tone a little bit, I guess.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
And a lot happens in this last little section.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. Okay. So, what was the first part?
So Becky's working at the salon, and I love this. People will say, "Oh, you couldn't make this movie today," and they're being pretentious and trying to say, like, because of the messaging or because of this or that, people wouldn't want this movie to be made. You literally couldn't make this sequence today because everyone has cell phones.
I mean, you could if you set it in that time period.
But so Becky's at work, but she's talking with her mom because they don't have a working phone at home. So the only time she can talk to her mom is at work.
Yeah.
So she's talking to her mom and she gets some news. Leroy's in jail for murder.
Yup. What a guy, that Leroy.
So great character, I guess. She knows how she really knows how to pick them.
Yep. We were thinking the same thing. So yeah, we find out that Leroy's in jail and that she misses her daughter pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then Henry and Otis are out driving around, and Otis is sticking his head out the car window and trying to film women and whatever else, being a creep.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting a little too cocky and he busts his camera.
Yeah.
And this sequence is interesting because it shows you that Henry has a temperamental side. I mean, Otis doesn't have a temperamental side. That's just all of his side. He's one side. So,
and it is temperament.
Yeah. But if both sides are temperamental, you don't have a temperamental side.
You are just,
you are. Yeah. So he gets livid, says like, you could have hurt me. You busted it up and all this. And he throws it right out of the car.
Yeah.
And Henry is just like, I could have fixed it. And he's like, it was busted. He was like, I could have fixed it. He's like, well, I didn't know. So it's like very realistic argument. And he ends up leaving Otis because Otis wants to get a drink and Henry doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Otis, he just kicks him out of the car.
Yeah, he kicks him out of the car. Well, it does feel like friends. They're going to cool off.
Yeah.
You know? So Otis gets out of the car and walks off. And I like how this sequence, Otis is getting a little too cocky because like earlier on, after he saw that Henry killed people, those few times when Henry would stand up to him because he was pissing him off, whether it was trying to kiss at Becky or whether it was, egging them on or whatever. Mm-hmm. When he would stand up to him, Otis would like he was clearly afraid of him.
Yeah.
He'd be like, no problem, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
So he's getting a little bit ballsy. I mean, he was yelling at him in the car. So, and after that, I believe he heads home, and that's when we find out Becky's big surprise.
Yeah.
She's going home.
Yeah.
She quit her job at the salon, and she's decided that Chicago's just not going to work out for her. She wants to be home with her kid, and where she needs to be is with her mama,
mm-hmm.
And her daughter. And Henry is not, would you say he's not fazed? He just kind of blinks. He just kind of hears it. I mean, he hears it,
Yeah. Well, he's been so weird about her.
Yeah.
Because they'll bond, but then when they get too close, he gets icy.
Yeah.
And so when she drops this news that she's quit her job and she's going to be moving again, he's kind of like, okay. And he his whole thing is like, he was going to be leaving soon anyway.
Yeah. He told Otis that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not really that upset. And she even invites him. She's like, you can come with me. And he's like,
yeah, she says, you can live with us at my mama's.
I don't know if that would be the best idea. So, but he does offer to take her out to dinner.
Yeah. Steak dinner.
Yeah.
They'll find a place
to treat her.
Yeah,
nice.
To celebrate, because she tells him like, you're going to have to decide, quick. And he's like, I just need to think about it.
Yeah.
And, oh boy, they're going to go out to a steak dinner.
Yeah.
So they go out, right?
They go out, and then it's when they come back and Otis is passed out watching the tape.
Which Henry luckily notices first, so he turns the tape off, and then this is something I like because did you catch this? That Henry, it's like he's getting ready for the bad shit, because he turns it off and then ejects the tape and puts it immediately in his coat pocket.
I didn't catch that he put it in his coat pocket. I just caught that he turned it off and immediately took it out.
Yeah, he put it in his coat pocket. So he was taking evidence from there.
Yeah.
Whether it was simply because Otis can't be trusted with it if he's going to leave it on while he's, passed out, or because he's going to leave and therefore wants the evidence, so that nothing can implicate him. That's arguable.
Yeah. But either way, he doesn't want to leave a loose end.
Yeah. And the two lovebirds, the two Romeo and his Juliet, they go into his little bedroom and she starts, making time with him. She is crazy about him.
Yeah.
And right when maybe she might be making some headway, Otis interrupts, and, in his charming way, he's drunker than a skunk. And Henry's it just pulls him out of that moment, and it pulls him out of that. He kind of realizes like he doesn't know how he feels about all this.
Yeah.
So he says he's going to go get smokes.
Yeah.
And he just needs to get some air. I'm going to get smokes and I'm going to get some air. Man, it really does sound like Steve Austin when I do that. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So he takes off. He asks them if they want anything, which I thought was very funny because it's very roommate thing.
Yeah.
Anything? Nope. So he leaves and wanders the Chicago streets at night. Goes to a bodega. Well, I don't think they're called bodegas out there, but he goes to like a corner store. And I want to mention, I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head. The clerk at the station, he's like a Asian or Arab clerk.
Yeah.
He was actually one of the producers.
Oh, really?
Because the brothers who owned MPI or started MPI, I'm trying to find their names, but I'm not finding it. Their names are at the beginning of the movie. They're like Ali Waid or something.
I saw their names, but I do not remember.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it now, but it was one of the brothers played him, which I just thought was cool that he like pops up in there. And he says something that's like sacrilegious in Chicago, because after he buys the cigarettes from him, and we're all waiting, wondering like, is he going to kill this guy and rob him or something? He just says, how about the Bears? And Henry looks dead in the eye and goes, fuck the Bears. Whoa. And then you debut that in Chicago.
What?
Yeeks. So, but things are getting a little bit hairier as he notices a woman alone walking a dog. And we'll get to that right after this.
On his way back from the corner store, Henry encounters this lady, and she's walking her little dog. He's like, nice dog.
Yeah, he just asks her about her dog. She's like,
Yeah.
Thanks.
She's like, thanks, Heinz 57. He's like, what? And I loved that because that is such an old person joke.
Yeah.
The Heinz 57 variety joke is such an old person joke. And he's like, what? It's Heinz 57 varieties. He's a mutt. And I love that exchange. And for some reason, he decides not to kill her.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because he wanted to get back to Becky, or if it's because he wanted to get out of town.
Yeah.
Because maybe he felt like, his expiration date for crime there was coming close, because he keeps committing more and more crimes in the same area. Eventually, he might get caught.
And he's also, I feel like there was a lot of urgency, internal urgency, because they left the broken camcorder on the side of the road, and that could be extra evidence.
Potentially. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously the tape wasn't in it.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. So,
but no, I mean,
yeah.
He's definitely noticed Otis is getting sloppy, and it's about time to peace out.
Speaking of Otis getting sloppy.
Oh God. Ugh.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the next most disturbing scene, we're back at the apartment, and Otis is like just attempting to rape Becky.
Yeah.
Like he's got her pinned down, and he's like damn near doing it. And Henry walks in and obviously is outraged. So pushes him, beats him up, and they start fighting. Otis actually gets the upper hand though.
Yeah.
And Otis is about ready to strangle Henry to death when Becky kind of snaps out of it, and she grabs her comb and stabs Otis in the eye with it.
It's a pick comb.
Yeah, a pick comb. So she's got like the sharp end, and she stabs him in the eye with it. And he reels back, and then Henry grabs the pick comb out of his eye and just starts stabbing him repeatedly and murders him dead.
Yes. And Becky's just like, we have to call the police.
Yeah, we have to call police. No. He's like, no, we do not.
No, we do not.
And he just picks up Otis by the ankles, drags him into the bathroom, and she's in the bedroom freaking out, like covered in blood, shocked, absolutely shocked at what has just happened. And then we just hear hacking noises coming from the bathroom. And then we go, and he's got Otis's head.
Drops it into a trash bag. Yeah, he's piecing him out.
Yeah, just got him in pieces. And then they, late that night, they leave with a whole bunch of luggage and a whole bunch of bags in the trunk. They stop halfway over a bridge and dump a whole bunch of bags.
Right into the river.
Right into the river, and then just drive off to a nice, seedy motel somewhere at the edge of town. Well,
he says two things I love about this sequence is when they're talking in the car, Henry says that his sister owns a ranch in San Bernardino, California.
Yeah.
And that they could go stay there as long as they want. And she's like, what about my daughter? And he's like, we can send for her when we get there. And so she's kind of like, do you think that'll be okay? Because she's very scared. She's not like, just like, okay, let's go somewhere. She's like, what did we do? Like, what happened? And Henry's just like, you just got to get past it. So one of my favorite things though, is when she tells him, I love you.
Yeah.
And he says, I guess I love you too.
Yeah.
And that alone, like, whoa, I mean, I guess I love you too. And then she says, where are we going to stay? And he says, we'll find a place. And that's what he said when they wanted to go out for dinner. She said, where are we going to go? And he said, we'll find a place. We'll find a place.
Yeah.
So they end up at that seedy hotel, like you were saying.
Yeah. So they end up in a seedy hotel. They're sitting around, and Becky's playing on a guitar, which Henry had gotten from a woman that he had killed at the start of the movie.
Yeah.
And he brought the guitar home and gave it to Otis and was like, hey, you want this? And Otis didn't want it, so Becky took it. So she's sitting there playing the guitar, and she's kind of like talking about the future and kind of like talking about like, maybe this will be good. Moving to California could be good. And I've never been good at playing guitar, but, I used to, and all this, and kind of talking about her daughter. And he's just kind of sitting there listening, but not listening. Like he's listening, but he's not engaging.
Yeah.
Then it's the next morning, early the next morning. It's like, golden hour. His car pulls up to the side of the road on like a backcountry road somewhere.
Well, I want to set it up a little bit more.
Okay.
Because I love how they did this.
Yeah.
It's morning. He's shaving.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just looking in the mirror. He's shaving. He walks out of the motel, gets in his car. He appears to be by himself, but they do obscure the passenger side as if somebody could be sitting there and you wouldn't be able to see them.
Yes.
But then once he's on the road, it becomes pretty clear he's the only one in the car. And I didn't mean to steal your thunder. It's just that, like, I love that he shaves and then just casually gets in the car and scoots.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you were saying, so he's pulls up on the side of the road. He's probably, I think they make it look like he probably went 60, 70, 80 miles from the hotel.
Yeah. It's a clip, I would call it. So he gets out of the car and he gets Becky's luggage, Becky's suitcase. And it's got like a bloody handprint on it.
And it's huge.
And it's huge. It's like full, bursting full. Tosses it off the side of the road, gets back into the car, drives off.
But the camera stays and pulls in slowly on the suitcase sitting on the side of the road. And we hear the music and it becomes very clear that is Becky's final resting place. And because Henry is a killer.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's all he is.
And I love that because it's a gut punch that if you weren't expecting it, you weren't paying attention. You were trying to believe something else because he never had anyone's best interest at heart in the long term, not even vaguely.
Mm-hmm.
So, he had his scruples about certain activities, but not about killing anybody for any reason. And yeah, it's a chilling ending. And we're going to take a quick break and we'll give our final thoughts on Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, how it compares to Confessions, and also we'll tease what the next film we'll be talking about is right after this. So, final thoughts on Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Go.
Well, I like it as much as Confessions. It's just they're both so tonally different that I can't choose like one or the other.
Really?
Yeah.
They are very different in style and tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like how in Henry they were both character studies, but in Henry it was almost like a little bit of a play with the unreliable narrator, because we saw in the first act of the movie, we only see the aftermath of Henry's violence. We don't see the killing itself. So it's because it's so detached, we almost feel like the film is kind of, again, leading us to sympathize with him as a killer. Whereas in Confessions, it's in your face, like from the get-go. He is the killer. He's the one doing it. So there's no question at all about whether he's the one committing the violence.
Yeah. I mean, they do give you opportunities to sympathize with him early on, but then they just keep unrolling more and more, because we get a lot more detail about his abusive childhood. We get a lot more detail about the ways he's been hurt and mistreated. And we even have the Texas Ranger who starts to almost be buddies with him for a second and then realize no, this guy is a monster, because he gets that weird feeling because they're solving crimes together. It's just they're crimes he committed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I love Henry. I think Henry deserves its reputation as a fascinating, brilliant, and painful piece of art.
Yeah.
But I think Confessions is just plain scarier. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that I feel more unnerved at the end of Confessions. Although Henry does creep me out, but I think, honestly, that Henry, like most horror movies, classic horror movies, I think Henry is a lot tamer now.
Yeah.
Because of how what Henry does that is so shocking is in every A24 movie now. Eye stabbing. I hate to put it this way, but I'm just talking about from a presentation standpoint, mild sexual violence.
Yeah.
They don't show a lot of it. And it's, that's not uncommon in a lot of modern horror films for them to be very gruesome, never flinch.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, Henry is kind of mild now.
Yeah.
But I think Confessions is still very upsetting.
It is. Oh, sorry about that.
That was terrifying. Was it you got possessed by Pazuzu for a second there?
No, it really is. And I think that's the thing is as films, I think they're both really compelling. I would have to agree with you that Confessions is scarier. It is more chilling. But something like as you were talking, like I thought about it. I think the reason for me in particular as an audience member, why I found Henry in particular compelling is because of the Becky character. Mm-hmm. And because she was so different, she was relatable. It was a lot easier for me to like feel for her. And so that sense of peril of like, she felt like she had a protector in Henry, but in the end she did not. So there's kind of like that extra level of that association for me. Whereas in Confessions, like Becky is just as reprehensible as Otis and Henry. So
yeah. No, I get that for sure. I mean, there's a lot to love about Henry. I don't think it's by any means a bad movie, not even vaguely. I think it's a phenomenal movie. I get what you're saying. Like Becky kind of brings an emotional center, mm-hmm. but I think that's why Confessions bothers me so much.
Yeah, there is no emotional
because
center.
It's like, look at this guy. He just drifts around doing these awful things. Why? Because that's what he does. I don't know, but and I do think it's just more heinous is probably what really, like, they really pulled no punches. I really mean it. Watching them, somewhat back to back made me realize how tame Henry is by today's standards.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's still absolutely worth a watch. It's still vile and challenging and artful and insightful. Mm-hmm. So I think Henry's a phenomenal movie and a great way to spend your time if you, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, it's the kind of thing you like if you like that kind of thing. So, I think Henry's a hell of a flick, and I'm glad I could show it to you. We won't be talking about it on the show, but sometime I'll show you the sequel. Henry 2.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Squeakquel. No. There's a Henry 2. I think I told you a little bit about that.
I think you did mention it.
Yeah, it was directed by the guy who took over the head of promotions when Henry was released in theaters.
Okay.
Like, he ended up taking a crack at it and directed a sequel. And it's very different. It's much more polished. It's much more of a regular, like, killer movie. But it has a charm to it, but it is nothing like Henry. I mean, it doesn't. There are a lot of sequels like that where it's like, well, it's not that. The original is something else entirely, but I do find the sequel charming in its way.
Yeah.
So, but with that all being said, what is our next film?
Well, the next film is going to be Someone's Watching Me.
The 1978 John Carpenter TV movie.
Yeah.
I said that like I wasn't reading it, so it would sound like I just know off the top of my head all of that information.
You are just that good.
I mean, I know Someone's Watching Me was John Carpenter. I could do that without a prompt, but and it was a TV movie, but I don't remember the year and stuff. But this is the film he did right before he directed Halloween.
Yeah.
Like right before. It's called Someone's Watching Me. And let's see, it stars Laura Holton and David Burney and Adrienne Barbeau. And it's basically a woman relocates from New York City to Los Angeles for a job, and she ends up basically being stalked by someone residing in the building across from hers. It's a solid cat and mouse horror. I found it really compelling, and I think it's a fascinating watch along with Halloween because there's a lot. It looks to me like he learned a lot of tricks on Halloween because I believe the film before Someone's Watching Me was Assault on Precinct 13. I could be wrong. He might have done one other one before that. But Assault on Precinct 13 is very meat and potatoes. It's good, but it's very meat and potatoes. Someone's Watching Me is pretty damn good, especially for a TV movie. But the 70s had a lot of really good TV movies. But then Halloween is just like a step above.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where he really found his artfulness and a lot of his cleverness. So I think Someone's Watching Me is a highly underrated example of John Carpenter's power and style as a horror filmmaker and suspense filmmaker. And it's available to watch free, FREE, with ads on Tubi or you can rent it at Amazon Prime, Fandango at Home, Apple TV, whatever. So that is your homework. We'll be back in a week or two to talk all about Someone's Watching Me. So don't miss it, or I'll be sad. I'll be real sad.
Yeah, we don't want you to be sad.
Yeah, don't hurt my feelings.
No, not your feelings.
But thank you guys so much for joining us on Cutting Deep into Horror. Really did enjoy talking with you guys. Remember, if you want to email us, you can do so at weeklyspooky@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. And if you want to support us in a very direct way, which we appreciate greatly, you can head to weeklyspooky.com/join for as little as $1 a month. You get 2 bonus episodes every month. And of course, my undying gratitude. I really do appreciate the support very, very much. But now we're going to get out of here. So stay safe. And don't pick up any hitchhikers or leave the house.
Yeah.
See you guys next time.